me get some music on. So we're doing a tier list of build archetypes. Very non-controversial. No one has opinions on this at all. Very, very like unique and original. Judging Quadshot placement harshly. I mean, you know, I'd hate for like all two of you to come to my door and like be upset with me. Granted, I think a lot of these builds I put, there's like one or two people who actually play these, so I don't know if that's really fair. To get things started right off the bat, also hello YouTube. So this is what each tier means to me, right? S tier, you centralize the meta. The build, basically everything revolves around it. If you don't beat the build, or if you don't beat the build, then you're either A tier or you're just slightly lower in the S tier. In order for your build to be S tier, you have to be able to beat them on even footing, or like slight pilot diff, or you need to be able to beat like everyone else, but lose to like a couple of like niche matches here and there, right? You'll see a couple of those where it's like someone who could just beat literally every other build in the game, but they need like certain archetypes, like they'll lose. A tier. A tier is, it's a good build, all the numbers are right, but there's certain bits of the meta, certain things about the S tier that really makes it so they can't really dominate, especially with like many players. It's possible to pilot diff S tiers pretty easily in a lot of cases, because some of the S tiers are harder to pilot than others. B tier? B tier is really niche builds that have a lot of bad matchups, but some like really highly specialized matchups. They can be pretty good, and they can even get top 100. Like there's not even, they can even get top 1. But a lot of it is just like matchup fishing, or just hoping to pilot diff somebody so badly that they can't really do anything about it. I get pilot diffed all the time, even by builds that are objectively worse than mine, so you know, we can't say it doesn't happen. C tiers don't bother. It's a little loud. Maybe it just feels loud. I think it's fine. So, yeah, C tier is basically don't bother with it. These are like your Gundam cosplays. It's the cosplay tier. We'll just call it that. It's the cosplay tier. Like these are the builds that will get you through A and maybe stick you in A, but you'll probably have a much harder time getting to S, and almost impossible amount of time, almost impossible to get top 100, because you like struggle into like just any of the basic meta builds, right? Okay, it is on here. So these aren't all the archetypes, obviously. I avoided ones that don't feel like they really have any impact on the meta. They just kind of exist, or builds that are very unique to certain players. Like I'm not including Hedge Knight. That is a build unique to Miha. I didn't include Armageddon. I didn't include JC's like Fasan Sniper. Those are like very unique builds specific to the people that play them. Like other people pick them up and try them, but they never succeed with them because they didn't put in the time or the like research that went into it. They don't know why the parts are the way they are. So, and you know, like same goes with like discos. In fact, I didn't even include 4-minute GG in here. And I should have. Now we'll think about it. That might be like a last place kind of thing, but just to pencil it in. So, to get things started, Blue Lamb. Top of S. Blue Lamb has effectively no downtime between its nebula and its explosive thrower. The explosive thrower has a range of like 200 meters, does a significant amount of stagger and a significant amount of damage. Has huge AoE, and it can be maimed. It's actually better maimed than in lock. You can use it in lock, it's really good in lock, but most of the time when Blue Lamb is using it, it's maimed. Same with the Nebula. And it doesn't have the same amount of like how do I put it? It doesn't have the same amount of airtime as like JP Lamb or other lambs, but it doesn't really need it. Because I feel like if the lamb knows how to properly brawl, especially while in hover mode, they're going to be nearly unbeatable. They don't need a Goro missile, they don't need like timings. Like JP Lamb, you have to time your hammers, you have to time your explosive throwers or time things so your Goro missile comes in and does all the damage. Blue Lamb just does damage. If you stagger someone, you hit him with a nebula, you hit him with explosive thrower, you hit S and you reset. You don't need to do all that. But for that reason, I think the skill floor is also a little bit lower. A little bit. I think Lamb is still kind of a hard build to like master, and a harder build to pick up. But that's where Blue Lamb is. Blue Lamb will set the tone. Box, also known Neo Evil Statue. This one kind of fell down a lot. You could still get top 100 with it, but I feel like between like Toka Robo being fast enough to kind of like catch up to it, between Blue Lamb not even caring how far away it is, and things like, you know, Fasan Tank and all those, it's a lot of AoE that it can't just QB around. Like Neo Evil Statue relies on Pulse Buckler or just straight up QBs to like get around things, and the armament it carries is typically fairly short range. That means it has to get into the danger zone, and by the time it gets anywhere near something like a Blue Lamb or a Ned Tank or a Fasan Boat, by the time it gets anywhere near them, it's already eaten like half its AP. Like I'm pretty sure Box just dies in like one Fasan charge, and it doesn't have the stability to like really survive getting in close with explosive thrower or nebula. So Box has fallen off a lot. It was already kind of falling off even before like the Basho like fixes, the hitbox fixes. But I think now it's kind of like in a really not great place as much as it used to be. I think people have kind of gotten used to it, and the meta itself has gotten a lot lighter and faster and more kitey. And Box doesn't really like pressing W. And with the weapons it has to press W because it doesn't have the missiles to win that missile war with like lambs or anything else. Melee RJ. So this is like the Chinese RJs. It's like the Sens and the other people in the world that run the Oscillator and the Pulse Blade. Typically what they want to do is they want to like land kicks, and they use the double instead of the charge attack on the Pulse Blade because for whatever reason RJs have a more accurate second swing, so you can catch people trying to get away and like do more damage. Unfortunately, it's B tier. I think it's a good build, and I think it was very capable of getting top 100, but the issue with it is that it is entirely aggro. It is do or die. It has like under 1700 stab on a build that wants to W. It carries no missiles, just a Huxley and a Zim. It has to use a How Core and Santai, so it has no stability, barely any defenses. But when it works great. Like it'll either die fast or kill you faster. That's how Melee RJ kind of works. And it is a okay build. I don't think it's a terrible build, but I think if you are choosing this route, you're electing a path of pain and misery that you might not want to bother with. However, Searchbee's build, if you know Searchbee's been posting on Reddit and in ACD, he's been posting clips of him effectively taking a Born Mizza tank and just chopping it up in one stagger interaction, like doing like 14k. This one is kind of like, I feel like Searchbee's double melee has kind of reached the pinnacle of what double melee can accomplish. Because a lot of times, like with double melee, you're really reliant on making sure you get that stagger punish. But the way Searchbee's build works is that if you don't get one stagger punish, you have another stagger punish. Plus, you're not helpless in the kites. If you know how to Demon Blade properly, you will mini-stun kites, you will get in their face, and you will damage them, and you'll kill them. Because you don't need a 14k stagger punish to kill, like, a Kiri kite. You just need to hit them with, like, one Demon Blade, stab them with a dagger twice, and they explode in sadness. And what are they going to do? PA? No, you have AA for that. So, but, you know, it does suck into shields, and most of the builds in S have a shield. So while I absolutely believe that Oscillator Dagger can beat these builds, I think the shields just make it that much harder. It stops being like, can I get my stagger combo off, and more like, can I get past the shield and do enough before I die. But that does put it above. That does put it above melee RJ. I'm not so sure about putting it ahead or behind Box. I'm going to put it behind Box for right now, because I think Box just have an inherent advantage that doesn't rely on like good timing. Box is like stupid easy to play. It's also incredibly boring to play and to play against. That's kind of why I've judged Box players really harshly when it was at its peak, because it felt like it was unearned. Like, a lot of it was just holding S and Q being on reaction while holding your trigger buttons down. Like, it didn't feel like there was any real effort into it. It was just, you know, counter. And then when your stagger went up, you're fast enough that you could just duck around the corner and reset your stagger, like, immediately. So, but that's enough about Box. We're talking about Search Speed. Yeah, I think Search Speed's build, I think if people pick it up and start learning the proper mechanics for it, I think melee is going to become a little bit more prominent. Even more than like the melee RGs. Like, I kind of hope that the Chinese people that are the Chinese guys that are picking up the melee RG, I hope they pick up on the dagger oscillator and see what they do with it. Because I think they really like their melee, but I think they need to like push it a little bit more in like a different direction. Double melee, pile bunker plus pulse blade. Don't bother. Like, I know some people are going to be angry because bunk is life, but the trouble with the pile bunker is it's pure stagger punish. Even like the uncharged bunk is not going to be as good as, say, like a pulse blade or an oscillator. But yeah, you know, pulse blade plus bunk just isn't as good as it used to be. Mainly because people have kind of realized that with stagger extensions being what they are, you can do so much more damage, and you have so much more versatility by having something like just a dagger. One dagger would do more than like a pulse pile bunker, and plus pile bunker is so punishing when you miss and so inconsistent. Like, there have been more times than I can count where someone's bunked me or bunked someone I was watching, and they get hitbox fucked. Like, they'll get hit by the little stagger, but not the, like, stab bit that does the actual damage. And it's so depressing, but, like, I'll be honest with you, don't bother. Don't bother doing double melee into bunk. It's really cool when it does work, but I feel like between melee RJ and the oscillator dagger, there's better things you can do. Especially these days, when everyone's faster. You don't need a bunker to kill people. Egg shield. This one's kind of tough. So Egg Shield is kind of built upon the idea of like head diffing people, or like just running around people and using your shield to be defensive. I don't know, this one's tough. You know what, we'll put you up here. So Egg Shield, I think, has the tools to beat a lot of builds in S, because they have like the pulse cannon just does a lot of like work. Plus eggs, yeah. I mean, and that works. Like, and I think eggs are really good into heavyweights. I think where they kind of suck sometimes is when an opponent can keep range from you. If they can keep range from you, then they'll probably win. Or if they just straight up out-damage you. Like, I feel like Toka Robo without shield, if all things being even, I think Toka Robo without a shield versus Egg Shield without a shield, I've had to give it to the Toka Robo. Just because the burst damage is so much higher. And Toka Robo's definitely not lacking in speed and wiggliness. So, another part of it might be just the players. There aren't too many, like, good Egg Shield players out there to really convince me otherwise, but I do think it's better than Box right now, and technically better than Search Speed build, just based on having a shield. Ludlow Kite, Atsu Ludlow Kites. These are a little bit different than Box, and that is it really different from Box? I mean, They are a little... I think what I'm thinking of is I'm kind of thinking of just kind of like... more like the Vert kite-oriented kind of stuff. Not quite box. But they kind of want to hang out in range. They want to shoot you with missiles and kind of want to make you run into Etsus and Ludlows. Box is just kind of a more versatile build. I think people are just trying to... Actually, you know what? No. The more I think about it, the worse it is. Yeah, this is basically a worse kite. It's people trying to make the close range build work for a kite, and it's not working out for them. I saw these in A a lot when I was like climbing after the patch. They don't work. They're not great. LCA Goro tank. That's the LCA critter. So. So basically, this is the guy that runs Coral Missile, LCA, and LRB, and basically kicks around in the air. It still loses pretty hard in the shield, I think. Yeah, I'll put it there. It is a scary build. It does like a metric fuck ton of damage. Shields definitely win against it a lot. If they're not good with the weapons, because they can definitely beat a shield, especially if they half charge their lasers. Like if they half charge the LRB, they half charge their LCA. If they keep the Coral Missile up, I think the Coral Missile is mainly for kites and for lambs because it's extra pressure. Because the Coral Missile does like a huge amount of damage, and then that tank obviously does. Tomahawk, which is like lethal dose but with soup. I think it's just slightly better than lethal dose. Only slightly though, because I think soup gives it. I think soup gives it a little bit more versatility than just straight double Fasan. Like double Fasan will absolutely kill so many people, but I think the soups are just so valuable into like a kite matchup. Like even when I'm playing my like RJ with the soups are so invaluable into fighting kites. Because the angles that they come from, and the uptime on them, and the tracking on them is just so good. Like I think even the Toku Robo I fought, no, not the Toku Robo, the Word Robo I fought earlier today. The difference between MLT6 and Soup was really apparent. So I'd fire the Soup at the same time they're MLT6, but I'd like walk behind cover and be fine for the MLT6, and the Soups are just tearing them to pieces in the meantime because they can't really focus. There's no real way for them to get around it. The soups hang out for a second and then they track you after you're already trying to dodge. Or you don't dodge because you forget they exist. So, but yeah, I think Tomahawk's a little bit better. Vert Kite. Down you go. Vert Kite is A's favorite build. If you go through A, you're going to fight a lot of like stupid lightweight Vert kites with Alba legs, and they're like, I'm gonna have a rifle and I'm gonna be different. I'm gonna have a plasma pistol or a plasma gun, or I'm gonna up, down, and press S a lot. Like you see them a lot of times. And you go in the Reddit and you're like, I'm gonna look up PvP videos. Oh, it's another person in A rank with a Vert kite. You don't see these guys in top 100. You barely see these guys in S because all the other kite builds with like actual brain cells put into their use, which is a very generous use of that, because I don't think Box uses much brain cell at all. But they're just not great builds. Not great builds at all. I think a lot of people eventually, when they want to try to climb the S, they give up the Vert kite, the light Vert kites, and they go to something like Curie kite, or they learn Toku Robo, because I think Toku Robo is a really good evolution from that build, because a lot of the movement tends to be the same, but you actually have stats to back it up. And you'll have a lot more versatility because you're not scared when someone runs up to your face and shoots zims in it. Vert Kite Shield is a little bit different. This is kind of like a generic category, because I kind of think of this as the same category as like Verde Kite or like Sleepy Robo. I'm going to put them up here. Just because the combination of defensive movement plus the shield, like having a shield is almost automatically an A rank. but also you're using some of the easiest movement in the game with some of the easiest damage in the game. So I think like shield kite, like proper shield kite, is a better build than a lot of other builds, but not better than, say, Kiri kite or like Kasakiri, because they control distance a lot better and not heavily reliant on like Vert movement. And it's not nearly as good as Robo. Robo is... It's the reason Goma is sad every time you play that robot, because it is so much of a problem for people to deal with. Not so much a problem as, say, like Sleepy Robo or Verde Kite. I wonder what Feel Good is doing with Verde Kite lately. I'll have to check in on him. But I think... Yeah, I think that kind of good spot for it. It's a very boring build, but I think it does have potential to beat all the other builds pretty easily, because it's not like it doesn't do no damage, but it does have good range and is very defensively oriented, so... And I think defense is a bit stronger than offense in this game. Woo Grobo. There you go. I don't think it's nearly as good as the Blue Lamb, or even the JP Lamb, or the Toku Robo, but I think Wurger Robo, I feel like, has a much better CQC matchup than Toku Robo, so I think it does much more favorably into things like Zim Shield. But it does have a weakness of range. Like, if you get away from a Wurg Robo, there's not much they can do about it. They have to be in your face, and they have to be, like, unloading their shots. But they do have... One thing they do have is the charge shot off of a Wurger does an insane amount of damage on 20B. Like, I have nearly 1,300 EN defense, and that Wurger, when it chunked me out of punish, was just a stupid amount of damage. Like, never mind like your charge LOB shot. Charge LOB shot is nothing. Charge LOB shot's like, what, 4K? Who cares? Wurger just ends your life. Wurger walks into your house, steals the change, kicks the dog, and leaves. There's no shit you can do about it. Because dodging it is exceptionally difficult with lag. Shielding it is definitely the option, but they're only using it when you're staggered. You can't hit your PA fast enough unless you're hitting it before you stagger, before it's charged up in your face, so you'll die in PA. So yeah. Yeah, Wurg Robo is tough. It's very tough. I don't think it's not nearly as versatile as Toku Robo, which is why it's not higher. But I think it favors really heavily into a lot of matchups. Where are we at? Water Strider! Down there. Actually, Water Strider's kind of difficult. But I'm going to put him up here, because I haven't seen you beat Pillager yet. Lamau. Anyway. Water Strider is kind of hard to quantify, because there's one Water Strider player left. And that's Pillager. And Pillager, for the past 3 or 4 seasons, has been at least top 50. I don't think I've seen him really, like, fall below 100. So... Does it lose the kite? I don't know. I would say Water Strider loses the kites. I don't think Pillager loses the kites as much as he acts like. I don't think he does at all. I think he's gotten so much experience on the build that he'll pilot a lot of different kites. I think even Lambs, because he's running, and this is covering a couple different builds, because Water Strider isn't just one build. The missile variety always changes, but it's either you're either looking at Explosive Thrower Majestic, Explosive Thrower Nebula on 20D, or Double Majestic. And the only one that's really been significant, so yeah, the only one that's really significantly made a difference is Pillager on 20D Nebula. So, whether or not it auto loses the kites, as time goes on, I do wonder about that, because there's a lot of defense on it, and you're very... I think... Okay, here's where I think it loses, right? I think if the kite gets the initial, like, missile hits on it, and gets a good enough AP lead to where they can kind of hang out behind cover and none of the Water Strider's missiles can get to it and they can draw it out in the open, I think that's where the Water Strider loses. But if the Water Strider gets the initial missile hits and gets behind cover to the point where the kite has to come in on them and potentially eat like a nebula or an explosive dart, I think that's the point where Water Strider would just run them over. I think it's very much based on that first interaction. And unfortunately, ranked kind of like plays into the kite's favor because there really isn't a lot of cover on, say, Lock Station for you to take advantage of. Contaminated City really favors the Water Strider, but Bonadea B doesn't, I don't think, because there's not like great cover. I think the tent on Bonadea, A, I think it's A. I don't know, you know which one I'm talking about. But I don't think the cover there is like really good unless you start on the right side. So I think Pillager is correct, but I don't think it's quite that clear cut. I do think it really comes down to that first interaction, and kites just tend to win that interaction a little bit more because you're a big fat spider thing that makes their hitbox bigger. And if you're not paying attention to missiles or paying attention to that importance of that really early initiation stage, and that's kind of where the kite has the advantage. But we were asking about Walt Robo. I think Walt Robo is down here. But it's only down here while 20B is in the current state that it's in. If they nerf 20B, I easily see it going up to here. Easily. Probably right behind JP Lamb, because JP Lamb will go up too. Because I know 432 was complaining that the Walt gun wasn't doing as much damage. But I think he's probably... I think it's just because of his experience of Sim Shield, not because of his experience with Toku. Because Toku, with LARB, does only as much damage as the Walt rifle with 20B. So... Because I think, because I think the Walt gun does a shit ton of damage. Like, I think without... let's see, because it's coral... Yeah, because it's coral, it does like 600 something. Maybe a little, I think 582, 600 damage, straight up, because there's no defenses against it. You can't, the only thing you can build to survive getting hit by a Walt rifle or a Regula is AP. That's the only stat that matters to those. That and stability, because they do tend to do a little bit more stability. So, yeah, I think while 20B is in the state it's in, that Walt Robo would still be kind of S, but not quite that high. Is what I'm getting at. Because it does win the stagger race a lot of times, but 20B is just so much damage. And I think it's possible even now, I think it's possible for a Walt Robo to be at least here. With more time and exploration of like build, because having a Walter instead of a LARB or instead of like a Worker or any other kind of EN weapon opens up a lot of different things in terms of build. Like you have different generators, different like cores you can explore, and I think that opens up a lot of things. Like one of the builds now is, I'm going to show you right now what build I'm thinking of that might change how some people view if this gets a little bit more out there. I saw this guy on the leaderboard earlier, and it had me thinking. Because we know heavy RJ kite is not a good build. I didn't even include it on this list because I don't think it's a great build at all. I think it has potential, but I think it has too many matchups that loses. Nice gem. There we go. Here he is. Is he on a shield? Nope. So that's the build I'm thinking of. With this guy here on 20B. He ain't even that far from my own build. I do wonder about the C. Does the C3 head just have a really good scan? Is that what I've been missing? Is that why I see this all the time? Or is there like some kind of weight? There's no way there's a weight thing he's looking for. That's still like almost 90k. That's actually way over 90k because Walt's heavy as shit. So, yeah, so this is the kind of build I'm thinking of. I do think it's potentially like top of S if they nerf 20B. I think that'll be the build you kind of have to look out for if they do nerf 20B. Back to this. So I don't know if nerfing NGI Gen is really the solution for lambs. They've nerfed it like a couple times at this point. I don't know. I feel like if you want lambs to stop being a problem, you have to get rid of lamb. The only solution to lamb is for lamb to have never existed. Like, flat out. And I think some people are saying the same thing about 20B. Like, maybe 20C is like the max amount of EL firearm proficiency for energy weapons we should have. So, I don't know. That's kind of a tough one. I feel like it's kind of a... They built the weapon, they built the generator and the legs to fulfill a niche, but the niche itself is just too strong for this game. Because, like, Blue Lamb's parts outside of, like, 20B and its weapons and the lamb all suck. Like, if you put that frame on anything that wasn't lamb legs, it would automatically be a shit build. Flat out. But because it's on lamb, it's automatically S tier. Which is not how things should be. Woop Shield. Woop Shield... I know Dreadgen would hate me to do this to him, but... Yeah, we're putting you here. I know Dreadgen, when on his Woop Shield, does a lot of work. But I think its gen stats are just flat out going to be worse because it's running 2-worker. And I don't think it needs 2-worker. 2-worker gives it a lot of, like, versatility. But, you know, even just fighting Fables, who's gotten a lot better. Like, since he's came back and played it, I think she's gotten a lot better at it. I do think it is a good build. I still think it's S tier, like the medium weight versions at least. But I'd be really, really hard pressed to call it like a really good build because the generator check is like so real on it, and it's not quite as much stagger buildup as, like, say, a duck and a worker or like a duck and a lark. So I still think it's a really good build, like, honestly. But I don't think it's as good as, like, these builds up here. These builds are better. Zimblade. I'll put you down here. Is that right? I'll put you here. Ooh, yeah, actually, right here. There we go. Zimblade is really good. I think there's another RJ Zimblade in top 100 right now. Seems to come back every once in a while. I know Piss really believes in, like, the biped one. It doesn't really matter which version you play. They both kind of play the same. But I think what it has over double melee, and to a lesser extent Zim Shield, is that I think it has, like, proper versatility. I think it can beat shields if you, like, chain your Zims together and then land like a double pulse blade. I think it's pretty easy to overload a shield. And if you're an RJ, you can throw in a kick there too, just for shits and giggles. But there are just so many, like, stupid things you could do on Zimblade as, like, a stagger punish, depending on situation and build. Like, on the RJ Zimblade, I've actually, like, staggered someone with a kick, hit him with a Zim, purge the left Zim, punch Zim, draw Zim, punch Zim, Zim again, punch Zim, I can't remember what I did. But yeah, you can like, Zim, punch, pull your pulse blade and do a proper stagger punish, and you'll actually do more damage with that punish and, like, kill someone straight up. I wish I had video of that, because I did that in the comic one time, and it was very funny. It was very funny, but I think that, and I think a lot of times that's what like the double melees try to do too. And I think I've seen Fizz do it. So, but yeah, I'm like, you can put someone in a cutscene on Zimblade, but where it kind of fails is one, it doesn't have a shield, and it's very weak to shields. Like, shields will mitigate a lot of the problems with it, and if you don't have a shield of your own, if you're fighting in a mirror with another Zim shield, it can be kind of difficult to win that. You have to be winning those like stagger races, and you can, but it's hard, especially if they know what they're doing. Because, like, again, if you're not fighting me and you're fighting a Zim shield, actually knows what they're doing. They're not trying to shield everything or trying to dodge everything. They're trying to like space it out. So you shoot one Zim, they block it. You shoot another Zim, then you quick boost out of it. You pull your weapon. The shield is already pulled back down. They shield your pulse blade. They shoot you in the face of Zims and they stagger you die. So I still think it's a really good build. I think it's still very easy to get top 100 with it, but I don't think it really wins very easily in any of these builds, especially. And I think it has a much, much harder time in like these builds above here. Because there's too many things Zimblade wants to do that these builds can flat out counter or just don't give a shit about. So, Zim Shield. Up you go. I don't think anyone needs to understand why. I think, again, it's another case where if we got rid of 20B, Zim Shield would probably still be up there. If we got rid of Lamb, Zim Shield would probably be top of S, like, automatically. Like, I don't need to explain why. Everybody understands why Zims are really good. I don't know if I really agree with nerfing Zims. I think, like, the build itself is pretty honest, which is, I know, insane for me to say. I think if you, like, I don't know, I think if you got rid of the stagger extension, you would be killing more than Zim Shield. You would be killing a lot of different builds. Like, Zimblade would suck, a lot of double melee builds would suck automatically. So, it's really hard to say what I would do to Zimmerman to nerf it. And they kind of, I think FromSoft kind of realizes that, because every time they go to nerf Zim Shield, they don't nerf Zimmerman. They nerf the things around it, like they nerf 61 PS, they nerf like parts that's really popular on it. And I think all that's really done is it's made Zim Shield from this used to be kind of aggro build into a much more generalist build. But, and it could beat Toka Robo and it could beat Lamb, but actually no, I think I agree with this, because Strider flat out said Blue Lamb just beats Zim Shield straight up. Because it can't win the damage race or the stagger race against something with just that much uptime and that much damage. And something that can just wiggle your Zims. With, you can't, it's harder to wiggle with Toku when it's in your face, plopping ducats in there, you know, in my forehead. In fact, I don't think you can wiggle ducat at all within 90 meters. I think you can still wiggle Zims to a degree. It's hard to really say. I don't fight enough high-level blue lambs to make that call. Yeah, Zim Shield does not, Zim Shield is not a great build. Oh no, sorry, that's the opposite. Zim Shield is a fantastic build. I do recommend, if you really want to play a meta build, one of these two is where you should start. Probably this one. This one I think will get you further, longer, but it is harder to learn. This one's easier to learn, but I think there's a lot of nuance that people kind of miss with it. Like, you can't, you know, a lot of people, especially starting out, want to fire both these at the same time, and you're not supposed to do that. And you're supposed to, like, space them out. And your punish shouldn't be like that. So that leads, so there's three builds. Three builds. I forgot to put on here, or I didn't say one another. JP Lamb, go, if I could put it anywhere, would go here. Just behind Zim Shield. Right here. Yep, right there sounds good. And honestly, I'd actually put it probably slightly above Zim Shield. Maybe the same. JP Lamb has fallen off a lot, because a lot of its tools have been nerfed. And that said, the stuff that JP Lamb used to do is no longer necessary. Blue Lamb has effectively made Coral Missile on JP Lamb obsolete. You don't need Coral Missile. Coral Missile is just a distraction. You can have better missiles like Aurora. Or like maybe you want to run another Split 8. Or maybe you just run on Duo 2. Duo 2 is a nice missile. Or a Jab Beta, if you can afford it in the budget. Which I don't think Blue Lamp can afford it. I think Aurora is actually less EN than Jab Beta. I think Jab Beta is really hungry. I mean, maybe Container Missile, but I don't know what weight we're talking about with Blue Lamp. But yeah, JP Lamb would go right above Zim Shield, below Togu Robo. Hey Jen. So there is one other build that I needed to put on here that has shown up. But it's like 4-minute GG builds or Missile Rats. If JP Lamb kind of goes here, then I'd put Missile Rats like here, between the heavies and shield and like these lighter builds. Because like, so the thing about Missile Rats is there's a reason Disco kind of like doesn't really like them, is that once you get caught, you die. Like 4-minute GG isn't necessarily GG. I know, like, if someone catches you, they'll kill you. Because you have, like, no CQC whatsoever. You barely have any real mid-range pressure. It's all missiles and all running away, which is not great when you're fighting something like Taco Boat or, like, Blue Lamb. Because if you run away, they're just going to shoot you in the back of the neb and you're going to lose all your AP and die. Because, like, the AB movement from Missile Rats really relies on FCS disruption, and those builds don't use FCS. What? You know what? Here you go. Just for you. We'll do that. I will accept your bribe. Quadshot's the best build. Beats Blue Lamp. Period. No debate. No questions. Best build. NA. Best build JP. Best build C. Best build CM. Period. We're done here. Number 1 build. Everyone should play Quadshot. It's the meta now. But yeah, like just something that really matters to people. Quadshot loses stat check. No. Zozo. Quadshot wins everything now. That's the objective opinion of everyone now. Because I'm right and no one else is. Everyone is incorrect. This is sarcasm, by the way, if you can't gather that. Yes. Yes. It wasn't like near the top of A, then suddenly dropped up to S after like a bunch of gift subs. That never happened. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't accept bribes. I'm an honest streamer. I think. But anyway. So yeah, 4-minute GG would kind of like sit right here. I think. Yeah, like right here. Because I think if a build is fast enough to catch it, it's fast enough to kill it, and there isn't a whole lot that Missile Rats can do about it. I think the best version of Missile Rat we saw was the OG 4-minute GG with the Nebula and the Coral Shield. And since those nerfs, I don't think it's gotten better. I still think it's a good build. I think if you break out the Missile Rat and the other player is just not. Well, NES is down. I don't know. I think Box these days would still lose to NES. And my reasoning for it is because if Box is trying to go forward, it's not focused on dealing with missiles. And if it's not focused on dealing with missiles, it's going to take a lot more damage. And it's still got to like get into range. I do think it still beats it, because this isn't like a clear path, right? Like I still think Larp Shield can beat any of these in the right circumstances with the right pilots or the right mistakes. But I think if we're just like talking evenly, I don't think the NAS the box is going to win all that often. I think there's too many factors that favor the Missile Rat. Like try fighting fucking 4-minute GG on Lock Station with Box. Like if you can't chase them in the air, you're just not going to catch them. So, but thank you, Jen Kuman, for the gifts. Thank you, Rorik. You think they gave up on box for no reason? I don't know if there's no reason. I think people realize getting blown up by Nebula is not very fun when they hit you with a main. So I don't know. I don't know about MLT6 either. I don't think it's better. I think I agree with that one. I think people are kind of happy to have a missile in that weight category that lets them do something that isn't just Duo 2. So, well, I think Duo 2 is still better than MLT6. Okay, so last build. This was not on purpose. This is just kind of how things kind of turned out. Is Zenfrog. Zenfrog. I don't know if there's one in top 100 right now, because I think Fuyu Kinko is effectively retired from AC6. I do know Yu like acknowledged it as kind of like the lowest tier of those builds on in their shield video. If y'all haven't seen Yu's shield video, I highly recommend it. It is a Japanese player, but they do make an effort to kind of like make it as English understandable as possible. So I recommend everyone who's curious about not just dealing with shield, but how to play Toku Robo, how to dodge Zims. There's a lot of information there. It's not just a 40-minute video of how to press the left button. It's a lot of like timings and how you ensure your shield doesn't overheat. How do you deal with like certain builds with your shield? How do you handle ear shots? What you should be dodging instead of shielding. Like, it's a lot of information, and I think it's very worth it if you're very like interested in that kind of thing. But as far as like this goes, that's tough. You know what? Yeah, that makes sense. So yeah, that's my build. I think it's really good. I do think it's like I think it needs more development. I think if more people worked it out, I think it has the potential to be an extremely good build. It plays very similarly to Heavy Zim Shield, and that wants the AB everywhere, but it has a couple of like real advantages. Like its ground mobility is infinitely better than Heavy Zim Shield. It's got a few tricks here and there, especially with its kicks and with its jumps, that a lot of other Zim builds don't have. But the thing that's holding Zenfrog back a lot is it just does not have the stats. I think the RJ legs are all a little too heavy, so they don't hit like the 75k breakpoints very easily. They want to be very active playstyles. Like, Zim Shield is not as active as Zenfrog. Zenfrog wants to use its QBs a lot, and wants to jump, and wants to AB a lot. Zim Shield could beat you by, like, QBing once or twice in one interaction, and then just shielding the rest of them, and it won't burn hardly any. And Zim Shield could potentially work on, like, a really crappy gen if the opponent's not, like, kitey enough or fast enough. And I think the same thing applies to like Heavy Zim Shield too. I think it's also kind of like a category too, right? Like I say Zenfrog like it's one build, but it's actually closer to like 3 or 4. Like, and it includes I think I'm including Frog in that example as well. But yeah, totally not controversial. Not a thing. I have that. So yeah, that's kind of where we sit. As this is our tier list coming by, and the raid. Thank you for the raid. Thank you for. He did kind of catch the end of this little bit where there'll be VOD later. Of course, you can go into it. I might just cut. I am going to cut this down to like a proper YouTube video to kind of like go over it. But if we're talking like proper lists, if we're ignoring bribery and corruption, it probably looks something like this. There we go. Because I think Quadshot's not a bad build. So, yeah, this is what the meta kind of looks like right now. So, and like I said, if you just got here, I didn't include like one-off builds. Like builds like Hedge Knight, builds like Armageddon, JC's Sniper Rat or Fasan Rat. I didn't include those because to me those are like really unique to those players. Also didn't include certain other builds like the LCD missile things that you see running around because I feel like that those aren't really builds but build checks. You know what I mean? Like they're built to see, can you survive getting hit by a bunch of LCDs, or are you just never gonna get hit and kill me anyway? Like that, those kind of builds. Like that want the stamps for whatever god awful reason. Just get murdered by Zenfrog or Toku robos, just destroy them. But yeah, these are the builds that beat just about everything, unless you know what you're doing or build specifically against them, or if you say just a little bit better. So we'll see. Well, that's a tier list. I'm gonna grab this, so I can use it later for people. Yeah, feel free to argue, because it's probably because the tier list is not going to matter in the future, if at all. Because I think it's probably going to go away at the end of the season. I think we're going to see like some serious changes, because I will be, if there is a 1.10 patch or 1.9.5 or something like that, like if we have any more patches coming, I will be shocked, absolutely shocked that they don't touch 20B. Like half that S rank is just 20B builds, and a good portion of A. And I think some people would argue there should be more 20B builds in S rank, but you know, in S tier rather. But yeah, I think it's time. I think we've waited long enough.